From hustle to CEO, how to step into your role of visionary in your business. What does that look like? Are you running your business or is your business running you? Something to think about, right? Welcome to today's podcast, Influence and Growth Mastery. I'm your host, Tonya Gossage, and today we're going to be talking about something that every single entrepreneur needs to hear. The transition from being the hustler to your business or in your business to becoming a CEO. That's right, from hustler to CEO. We've all been there, right? I know I have. Okay, so let's get real. Most entrepreneurs don't really start as CEOs. They start as a doer, doing the work. They wear all the hats, they grind, they hustle, they bustle, they work 8 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours a day. But here's the problem. Hustle doesn't scale, but leadership does. Wow. Hustle doesn't scale, but leadership does. How do you become a leader? Okay, if you're stuck in the weeds of daily execution, your business cannot grow beyond you. That's right. It cannot grow beyond you because you're stuck, and we need to get you out of being stuck. So today we're diving into a deep topic into how to move from execution to true leadership. Oh my goodness. I love this topic. True leadership. What does that mean? And how do you build a team that supports your vision? And how do you set up systems that run without you? I have a friend who calls me the systems queen. I love it. I love technology anyway. But if you're ready to shift yourself from hustling to leading, you are in the right place today. Let's get started. Number one, moving from execution to leadership. One of the biggest reasons I have to tell you that entrepreneurs stay stuck is because they believe that no one can do it as well as I can. Have you been there? Oh my goodness, I have been there. And while that may be true, nobody can do it as good as Tonya can. Nobody can do it as good as you can, my friend. It's also the fastest way to burning yourself out. It's also the fastest way to capping yourself. You've heard me say this before. If you follow me, the best thing that my president ever told me, the best thing, I cannot move you to your next position because you do not have somebody in place to take your role. Do you not think that lit some fire underneath my rear? That next week, Tonya Gossage had a strategy and she went to work and she made sure that I had a team of people who could replace me. Did you hear what I just said? A team of people, not a individual, a team of people. And when I left my corporate role, I had 22 people who worked for me. And I would put dollars on it that 20 of those could do my job. Some better than others, but they could do my job. Who can do your job? Are you set up as a leader or are you a doer? That's the big question today. Here's the reality. If your business can't run without you, you don't own your business. You own a job. Wow. You don't own a business. You own a job. So the key to stepping into the role of a CEO, 100% is elevating your mindset from being a doer to being a leader. I have to tell you, owning my own business, while some of it is easy, a lot of it is hard because I've had to step back in the role of being a doer. And I am not a doer. There's things I have procrastinated on of being a doer. My DNA, I am not a doer. I am a guide. I am a leader. I am a strategist. I am a visionary. I'm not good anymore at doing the work. I'm much better off teaching people, mentoring people, guiding people on how to do the work. And that's where you need to get to be as well. If you are a doer, you do not need to be a CEO. You need to continue to work for somebody else. That's hard knocks, people, but that's just the way that it is. What does that actually look like? You need to stop making every decision yourself. CEOs, they delegate. They delegate. They delegate outcomes, not tasks. Again, when I worked at corporate, I hired people that were better than me. I hired people that could do things that were not my strengths, so that when something came up, I had somebody that I could delegate things to. This person was good at this. This person was good at that. This person was good at this. And when I was given things to do, I learned them and then passed them on. Did you hear me? I learned them and then passed them on. So I knew how to manage those people to what they did. Very critical thing there. Focus on high value work. If it's not growing revenue or strengthening your vision, you shouldn't be doing it. And I have to tell you, being a doer and trying to be the visionary and the strategist and everything else, it's hard. It's hard to grow when you're doing it all. I finally had to say, I've got to hire VAs. This is killing me. You have to do it. Hire for strengths, not just tasks. I hired people that had great strengths also in leadership, not just tasks. Surround yourself with people who bring skills that you don't have. Don't be afraid that somebody's going to take your job. You cannot be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Hire people that have skills that you don't have. Great CEOs don't do it all. They build a team that does it. That brings us to the next step. Number two, building a team that supports your vision. If they don't support you, you don't need them. Here's the hard truth. If you're that smartest person in the room, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You need people that can help you. Your goal isn't to do everything. It's to build a business that can thrive without your constant involvement. You need people who could do the work. I could step out for days and my department run. I could step out for days and everything that went on around me could continue to go. Sometimes better if I weren't there. I had them telling me sometimes, don't micromanage us. I always felt like I wasn't a micromanager, but sometimes they would tell me that I did. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to support them, give them encouragement. How do you build a team that supports and scales and strengthens your vision? How do you do that? Well, number one, you have to define your role as a CEO. Ask yourself these things. What is my highest value work? What are the things that only I can do in my business? What are the things that only I can do? And then you need to evaluate, should you be the only person that can do them? And if the answer to that is no, then you need to delegate it. I'll get to that in just a minute. But where am I spending my time that somebody else should be handling it? Your time. Your job as a CEO is to set the vision, drive the revenue, and build relationships, not answer every email or fix every problem. And then number two, hire the right people for the right roles. You don't need a huge team. You don't have to have a huge team to scale. You just have to have the right team, the right people. The who's and the who, not how, that I talk about. The who's. Here's a, and I apologize, I'm getting a text message that I need to answer and it's distracting me. Here's a simple framework. Visionaries, they drive the big picture. That's you. Let me put this on mute. Visionaries drive the big picture, and that's you. Integrators bring the vision to life. That's the COOs, the chief operating officers, the project managers, those types of people. And I have to tell you, when I wasn't a chief operating officer, but I was a project manager, and I was the person who would go and find people to do work on projects, and I worked in the projects and blah, 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 blah. But I wasn't necessarily that hands-on person. I was involved in everything, but not necessarily so much as the doer part of it. But specialists, they execute. They're the VAs, the social media managers, the marketers, the tech experts. And again, yes, I'm very specialized, and to a fault, really, because sometimes it is hard for me to not do, because in my personality, while I can do, that's not my greatest strength. And so the social media part of my business, as while I was doing a lot of social media, you get burnt out doing the things that aren't your greatest strength. My greatest strength is networking, building relationships, finding new leads, doing those types of things. Although I can do content and I love content, but that bogs me down to keep me from doing the things that I do. So what do? This is what you need to do as a CEO. Find the best people to work with. So you outsource. You find people to work with, you outsource. And so, anyway, those are the specialists. And so, the sooner you stop micromanaging your people and you start trusting your team, you have trusted partners, joint ventures, partnerships, collaborators, accountability partners. I talk about this all the time. The more you have those types of people, the faster, get me here, the faster you are going to grow. I promise you. I've seen it working in banking and working with other people. I promise you. And here's number 3, create a culture of ownership. In volleyball last weekend, and my husband was prior counselor. He's been administrator, principal, assistant superintendent. He's been in management for years and years and years. He's been a teacher. He's now in a director. He's in management. And then my son's works in human resources. And we were talking to my granddaughter as she's playing volleyball. And we were like, what happened this weekend? You guys did not play as a team. And every time somebody would mess up, the whole team would throw up their hands like, why didn't you do your part? And they weren't calling the ball. And we were like, they're all passing judgment on each other. And we were telling her, did you not see the other teams? Whenever somebody would mess up, they would pound their chest with their hands and they would say, my bad. That was my fault. I did it. I was wrong. And they all were doing that. They all took ownership of their problems or their mistakes. And we were like, when you do that, that fosters a great team, a great business. You have to have ownership in what you do, and your team has to have ownership in what they do. You don't place blame various different places. So your team is not there just to complete a task, to fill a certain position on a volleyball team. They're there to own a certain outcome, to get the ball across the net, to get a certain project completed. And when somebody messes up, it's okay. It's okay. Brush it off. Let's do better next time. So instead of saying, do this, ask, how do you think we should approach this? I remember sitting around the board table every week, or the conference room table, asking my team, how do you think we should do this? What are your thoughts? Everybody put your input in. It wasn't always a Tonya thing. It was a team thing. What's your recommendation? How do you think we should improve this process? And when you do that, you have more buy-in from your people, from your team. When it's not all about you, and your company, although you may own it and you have buy-in, people believe in your vision, I promise you, they're going to work harder for you. They're going to work much harder for you. And so when your team is empowered to think and lead, you free up time to focus on scaling and the vision of the company. And that's where you're going to bring in systems then next, which is number 3, is setting up systems that run without you. Set up systems with your team and for your team to use, because you cannot scale if you're the bottleneck. Trust me. I had a manager once that was a bottleneck, and he kept everybody stressed. Nobody wanted to work for him. Systems are the difference between a business that thrives and one that collapses when you step away. Trust me. So what are the core systems that every CEO needs? Delegation and automation systems. If you're doing repetitive tasks manually, you're wasting your time. you're wasting your time. You need to ask yourself what can be automated and then automate it. Whether it's email sequences, onboarding, payments, whatever. What can be delegated? Sit down, think for an hour. What can be automated? Scheduling, social media, customer service. What can you hand off? What requires your personal touch? High-level strategy and relationship building. That's where you need to be focused. Or is that where you need to be focused? Ask yourself that. The more you automate and delegate, the more time you're going to get back to focus on growth. The scalable sales and marketing system. Most entrepreneurs rely on hustle-based marketing. Posting every day, DMing people, constantly chasing leads. And you do have to post and you do have to DM, constantly chasing leads. But do you have to do it manually? You do have to engage, but do you have to do it manually? There's automations that can help you with that. And maybe you choose to do it because you are building a high level network and you want to be human. You decide on that. Is it something you can delegate? Is it something you can automate? Or do you need to do it? It's exhausting. I'll tell you, it's exhausting. But you can set up marketing systems that run without you. You decide what those are. There's lead funnels that nurture and convert prospects without you, and they're darn good. Content that works long term, SEO, email sequences, YouTube, automated follow-up so that you're not manually chasing leads. Your marketing should bring clients to you, not force them to chase you. You should not have to chase after anybody. Even though I get leads for people, I don't chase people. If you have to chase them, they're not ideal for you. Know that. If you have to chase somebody, they're not ideal for you. Don't chase anybody. The CEO decision-making system. CEOs don't make decisions on emotion. They rely upon data and structure. Now, there is some emotion that may go into that, but you need data and you need a structure. Here's a simple CEO decision framework. Delegate. Can someone else handle this? We talked about that. Delay. Does this work need to be done right now? When I get stressed out and I'm like, I got to do this, and this today, and I feel the stress in my shoulders, I step back and I say, does this really need to be done today? And I often find it doesn't really have to be done today. The house is not on fire. And this person would understand if I didn't get this done. Delete. Is it even necessary? It may feel like it's necessary today, but in a week, was it really necessary? Think about it. And then do. If it's high impact, take action. Heard somebody say on a podcast the other day, if they can do something within 5 minutes, it gets done right then. They don't put it off. If it can be done in 5 minutes, it's done right then. That's taking action. If you train yourself to think like a CEO, not a worker, you're going to move from constant firefighting to strategic leadership. And that's powerful. You're going to get out of firefighting mode into strategic leadership. And so a final takeaway today is stepping into the CEO role. If you take one thing away from today's podcast, let it be this. Your business cannot grow if you're stuck in the weeds. You've got to start finding a way to get out of the weeds. And to scale, you have to move away from the execution to leadership. You have to. You have to build a team that supports your vision. And you have to set up systems that run without you. 3 very important things. Know that hustle is a phase. It's not a long-term strategy. The faster that you transition into CEO mode, the faster that your business is going to scale. Let me say that again. The faster that you transition into CEO mode, the faster your business scales, especially without sacrificing your freedom. So I ask you today, do you want to see freedom? Start delegating. Start building a team around you. I hope that this podcast resonated with you today. And here's what I want you to do next. Take a screenshot. I don't look very beautiful today. I'm at my mom's, recording 2 podcasts in one day today. I'm taking action. But screenshot this podcast and tag me on social media. tell me your biggest insight for today. Also, if you've not already subscribe, leave me a review. But if you need help structuring your team, automating your business, stepping into the visionary that you are meant to be as a CEO, reach out and let's connect, because your growth plan is so important to me. So important to me. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Influence and Growth Mastery today. I'll see you on the next podcast. Bye.